Welcome to the Robert Frost March Hoot. I'm Jim Knowles, your host. We have a very big night. The main feature, of course, is Andover High School, and they always bring a big posse, right? So we're going to have some quick announcements, an award, and then go to the AHS show, and then to open mic. So for quick announcements, we have next month, which is April 9th, we're going to be doing the Frost Prize winners as the feature, and then the open mic. May 14th is wide open, although I'll probably make up a theme. April 28th, there's a Rockport Poetry Festival where I get to dress up and talk like Robert Frost. When he was in Vermont, that's much easier. Yeah. And then there's the All Literation Nation Spring Celebration. That's 6 local groups. It's going to be in the Lawrence Public Library May 4th, the first Saturday. Then Blaine Hebel, the next weekend, will have a very widely known sort of all poets thing, 3 nights, fundraiser and open mic in Ipswich. So he'll be talking about that a little later. Anyway, so now we'd like to start off with an award. We'll go with Jessica Sanchez, the Executive Director of Frost.
Thank you guys for coming tonight. It has actually been 10 years that you guys have been coming to join us, so a round of applause for the Andover High students. Tonight is very special, not only because we have the students and staff from Andover High, but we also have a very special person, Mr. Harry Durso, who a lot of this wouldn't be possible without. So Harry, would you please come up?
Wow, that sounded really good, Jessica. Thank you. I like that. You make it sound so beautiful. It's okay, go ahead. It's our 10th anniversary. Let's have a bunch of applause. How did we last 10 years? 10 years. All right? Okay. Everybody's happy. I'd like to welcome all of you for tonight's annual Robert Frost Foundation's Andover High School Poetry Night. Tonight marks our 10th anniversary, and I believe this is an enormous accomplishment for many reasons. Most of the people here are happy I'm just not calling them anymore, but that's other than that. Come on, Kate. Kate, come on, join us. You gonna read? No. Please? I'll give you a poem. Class of 1994. One of my favorite students, Kate Hernandez. All right? All right. Grab a seat, Kate. I'd like to thank the Robert Frost Foundation's Board of Directors and its director, Jessica Nesbitt Sanchez, for carrying on the organization inspired by the original leadership of poet Mark Shore and taking it to its new future. Let's have a hand for Jessica. I also would like to thank Cafe Azteca. 10 years we've been eating here. They're great food. Let's have applause for Cafe Azteca. I'd like to thank Joe Spanos Productions and Bethany Spanos and Joe Spanos right here. Joe and I taught together for over 30 years in Andover High School. Great friend, great buddy, great teacher. We took kids behind the scenes in New York to all the great television shows. We had a great time there. Did a lot of shows. Between the two of us, I think, and Karen Hayden, we produced over 100 shows for cable TV. Have a hand for Joe Spanos. That's quality staff on that Andover High School. That's the kind of stuff that is going on. Okay, I'm very, very happy to be there. This show is going to be seen in Andover, Lawrence, and Methuen on cable access. I'd like to thank the executive directors of the cable outlets, West Murphy and Andover Television, Karen Hayden, Methuen Community Television, and Jilly Alexander at Lawrence Community Access for showing our poetry night. I'm absolutely famous at the meat counter at Market Basket because of this show. People come up to me all the time. You know, I'm deciding whether Angus is worth it. I get the call about poetry night. Okay? My doctors want me to give them warning so they can have a couple of drinks before it's on, but we're working on that. So I'd like to thank Andover High School teacher Eric Pellerman right here for organizing the students and teachers every year. Thank you, Eric. Not only are you a great friend, but you give us a tremendous effort every year. Thank you so much. I ask, he delivers every year. Thank you, Eric. And what a great teacher he is in the classroom. I've been in his classroom, and it's tremendous. So all you kids that have him, very fortunate to have him as a teacher. And I'd like to thank Dawn Michaud over there. Dawn, raise your hand. All right. And Dawn's Auto Care for sponsoring us for all 10 years. Let's hear that. 10 years of sponsorship. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn has recently merged his garage, Auto Care, with Michael's Motors in Lawrence. It's right 2 doors down from where he used to be. He invites all his customers to come join him there at Michael's Motors. Dawn's Auto Care is there. And one of the guys that worked for him said, it's auto caring. That's the kind of service you get now with Michael's with Dawn. Dawn's Auto Care is over there. And I'd like to welcome the Pollocks, Sean and Mike, who couldn't be here tonight, for joining us now in this sponsorship. And they're going to be new partners with us. So welcome Michael's Motors, and thank Dawn Michaud and Dawn's Auto Care. Let's give it another applause for Dawn. I feel compelled tonight to tell you how this night started. Mark Shore, great poet, college professor, who was executive director here, used to take his well-worn Ford Festiva to Dawn's Auto Care to get fixed. This car had a flower on it from the 60s. This car was well-worn, so he was there all the time. After I finished teaching, I'd go and help Dawn out at night, and he'd be in there talking, and he never let me relax. He'd always have to talk to me about something important. What do you think about Chaucer? What do you think about this? You know, I'm trying to get away from it. He said, oh, what you think's on the Canterbury Tales? What do you think about John Donne? He never let me go. So every time he was there, I said, oh, geez, I got to talk to Mark Shore. And so finally, I was bragging about the kids at Andover High, how brilliant they were, how great poets they were. He says, hey, I have this poetry hoot every month with my group, Robert Frost Foundation. Bring them for one night. I'll give it to you for one night. And the only thing is I need a sponsor, if you can find a sponsor. Just then, at that second, Dawn Michaud got up, handed Mark a check. I'm in. Right, Dawn? Right that night. I'm in. And he just did it again tonight. So thank you, Dawn. The only criteria that Dawn had was that everybody would be free. He didn't want any grades, no contests, no review, nothing. The kids were to come here and do whatever they wanted without any kind of screening, nothing. That was his criteria. Dawn made sure every year we did that. And until tonight, we're still doing it. Right, guys? No one sees anything. It's all a surprise. And believe me, we have been surprised. Okay? They have total freedom to say everything they want. And I think in our country, that's the greatest thing on earth, is to give freedom of speech. That's what we need. No one, and I don't care who hears me, no one can jeopardize our freedom of speech. And that's it, period. All right? There's no fake freedom of speech. There's just freedom of speech. And we're going to hear it here tonight. So now that I've been hearing and myself talk for a little while, I'm going to do something. And I have Jessica here next to me. And I'd like to invite Dawn Michaud up to the podium. Dawn, you're going to be embarrassed, but let's go. Come in between us here. All right. All right. All right, go ahead. All right. Dawn, many Andover High students have had a chance to share their views of the world with total freedom because of you, because of Mark Shore, because of the board here, and because I've been lucky enough in my life to be incorporated here too with Eric and all the people here. And we're going to tonight give you the first annual Mark Shore Award for your sponsorship of Andover High School Poetry Night for 10 years. Let's hear it for Don Michel. Say a couple words, Don. Oh, go ahead, I'll pick it up.
You got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This has been a lot of fun. I just, like Harry said, I just like to do it because I want to see the kids have a place to be able to say what they want to say.
That's good. How about that? Now you stay. Daniel Rice has another award he wants to give you. Daniel? You can't get out of this easy now, to tell you the truth.
Not to. I know. Right? So I just wanted to thank Don right behind me for all the work that he's done, and also Harry for all the work that he's done for us at AutoCare, and for Harry doing all this.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Let's have a round of applause for Daniel. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go. I got an award too. All right. God bless you, guys. Thank you. How's that, huh? Let's hear it again for Don. What a great guy. We wish, huh? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's okay.
You ready?
How's that?
Yeah, okay, ready?
All right. Yeah. Later on, we'll have all the guys from the garage up to have a picture. Okay, I want to get going on the poetry. Okay, I usually start off with a poem of my own. I'm just going to limit it to one. I lost my memory several years ago due to an accident. It's a horrible experience. And my memory came back to me in very odd ways. There's no real way for them to say even if you're going to get it back. And one night I was in the hospital, and this date I was on came back to me from 50 years ago when I was a student in Villanova my freshman year. The whole thing came to my mind, and I screamed out the girl's name, and the nurse was looking at me like, "What was that?" I said, "I don't know. I just got this vision of this night." And I wrote down this poem. It's kind of a bittersweet poem, but I wanted to share with you tonight. It's called Notre Dame. She, my red-headed freshman in college girlfriend, wanted to go to Notre Dame, who had 12 brothers and sisters and an Irish family who lived in a rambling big happy house covered with vines. She wanted to transfer right away. She told me in passing as we sat at the movies, watching Butch and Sundance. She invited me for dinner the next day, and I sat with her family, sharing our food over 2 tables, mother and father clearly in charge, as the Norris milk dispenser gave out milk like a beer keg, and everyone smiled and was polite, and how the dinner prayer was recited so rapidly so the food would not get cold. I laughed when we would have her little brother come on a date with us to John's Bar, where a bowl of popcorn satisfied the boy as we talked over greasy cheeseburgers and 15-cent beers and wondered about the direction we would go in life. Our youth so full of hope and joy, it outshined the inherent sadness of our surroundings. She wanted to meet one night for no reason, and we walked on campus so innocently and pure. Our lives had not been yet set in stone, all possibilities and no regrets. The school buildings, giant fairy tale stone castles from another time, a romantic setting, stumbled upon on an odd night. I would look at her as we teased each other in fun, her face so innocent, she could have been a Madonna in any school play. This nothing night, as we ran to a bus shelter to get out of the stormy winter rain, she got inside, tears and a smile, suddenly coming out of her like a living bad secret. She would be leaving the next day. She got in and was sure that every dream would come true at Notre Dame. She kissed me with lips quivering, and she told me that the life I offered her was not enough. There would be no long-distance romance. Our held hands became cold as the night chill came in. She wanted to kiss me again, but I refused as she said goodbye and ran away, not knowing that this night would come to me 50 years later in a broken dream when I called out her name and felt her gentle red hair, knowing that I wanted to kiss her again and wondering if she ever once thought of me and whether her dreams had all come true. My dream would have been better, but how could I really know? I still felt the cold rain from that night in my dream, so cold, knowing for sure that I would never see her again, except as an old man fighting off sleep, as memories randomly fled back to me, as I longed to kiss her that one last time, as I rested by the light of the monitors and waited for the nurse to bathe me in the morning. At least I got a good poem out of it, huh? Jeez. All right. I think I'm gonna start. Jess, what do you think? The kids from Andover High? Oh, do you want to
say something?
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead. I'll step over here.
I'd just like to say thank you one more time to Don. I'm sure if Mark was here, he would have been more than thrilled to present you with that award. And I want to thank you again, Harry,
Sure.
for being there, for all you guys being here, and let's welcome up Eric. Thank you.
All right, Jess. Great. I think that it's very honorable for us to carry this tradition on for Mark Shore. It's hard to believe he's gone because so much of him is with us tonight. And he was such a vibrant guy. I hope that he stays with us forever. His work is great. He had a great persona, and he was a living teacher, always. And I respected that in him. Very, very nice guy. We have so many people to read tonight, and I'm excited. And I have a plaque.
I'll take that plaque.
Once you have a plaque, you're set, all right? You can always whip it out when people don't think much of you. You're all right. All right. How about Juliana Harrier? Where's Juliana? Juliana, you're up. Senior, Andover High. First year.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. So the first poem that I'm gonna read is called "Theme of Redemption and Power." So this poem is based on a book that I read in, my English class last semester called "The Kite Runner." And I feel like redemption and power, I feel like those two things are very big themes in "The Kite Runner." So I hope you enjoy my poem. Beautiful day. Wind was perfect for kite flying, blowing just hard enough. The sweeps easier. Defeated kites, whirled out of control, fell from the sky like shooting stars. Kept stealing glances at Bubba. Was he cheering for me? I was still flying. Sliced a bright yellow kite, tugging with my bloody hands. Made it to the last dozen. Stomping feet, clapping, whistling, chanting. Bravo, America. I opened my eyes, the blue kite spinning wildly, like a tire come loose. From a speeding car, throwing my free arm around Hassan, hopping up and down, both of us laughing, weeping. You won, America, you won. So, this is another poem that I wrote based on The Kite Runner, and it's an elegy for Hassan. This is kind of like Amir writing to Hassan. And, Hassan and Amir, they were like best friends in the story. So, thought it would be sweet to write a poem like this. Yeah. Sadness for you dying, feelings of regret. Many years have gone by of me rejecting you, isolating myself, feelings of guilt for all that I have let go, letting you get beat up. I will always keep you, my dear friend Hassan, in my heart. This really isn't a poem, but these are sort of like 6-word stories that I wrote in my creative writing course. And I wrote 5 of them. So this is the first one. Leftover food, spoiled and disposed. Number 2, America the Beautiful, red, white, blue. Number 3, for sale, favorite shirt never worn. Number 4, lost and found, jacket used again. And number 5 is strangers, acquaintances, friends, best friends, family. And this is another poem. This is a poem that I didn't write. I mean, it's called Your Laughter by Pablo Neruda, and this is my mom's favorite poem.
All right.
And I would gladly like to read it to everyone,
Good.
and to my mom especially. So this is called Your Laughter. Take bread away from me, if you wish. Take air away, but do not take from me your laughter. Do not take away the rose, the land's flower that you pluck, the water that suddenly bursts forth in joy, the sudden wave of silver born in you. My struggle is harsh, and I come back with eyes tired at times from having seen the unchanging earth. But when your laughter enters, it rises to the sky seeking me, and it opens for me all the doors of life. My love, in the darkest hour, your laughter opens, and if suddenly you see my blood staining the stones of the street, laugh, because your laughter will be for my hands like a fresh sword. Next to the sea in the autumn, your laughter must raise its foamy cascade, and in the spring, love, I want your laughter like the flower I was waiting for, the blue flower, the rose of my echoing country. In the streets of the island, laugh at this clumsy boy who loves you. But when I open my eyes and close them, when my steps go, when my steps return, deny me bread, air, light, spring, but never your laughter, for I would die.
Very good. She was smart enough to include her mother in that. I think that's very good strategy, don't you think? Very good. All right. She might want a car soon, you don't know, but all right, okay. Great job, Juliana, great job.
Thank you.
Adam Bassi. Adam? Okay.
Okay. Louder? Raise the mic up. Okay. Like this? Yeah. Okay. So many poems. Hard to keep track. Okay, thank you for this poetry night. It's a blessing having it. And I write my poems sort of as diary entries, what I feel at that moment in time. I rarely edit them because what I felt is what I wrote. And sometimes what I feel isn't perfect, so they're not perfect. Okay, this is my first poem. I miss you, with all your perfect imperfections, and the joy I feel when I am with you. And all the other people you inspire, I'm in awe of your devastating power, mixed with warmth and color. You're beautiful, all your confusing personalities. You're everything in one. You're mine, or am I yours? I am at your mercy, but you always make it better. I just wish we could have seen each other. I miss your attitudes, the peeps and the roars. I miss the innocence I lost before I was born. I'm sorry for what they did to you. I had no say. Can I ask for forgiveness? Will you come back? You were wild, unchanged by any brawny man with an axe. You persevered. You fought back as much as you could. What would it take for me to see you well? I hear your heartbeat, the waves, the rain, the water crashing over rocks in your river, or the mindfulness I obtained from releasing your friend after I had my fun, making a splash and returning to the river. Your blood quenches my thirst, makes me feel that I'm part of you. Now you're in a coma. No one seems to mind, but I do. They keep quiet, unwilling to change, unwilling to sacrifice a part of their wealth. Nothing can change our ways, not even your death. They think you are not dying. They think your death doesn't matter. Some of them say that helping you means their decline. In reality, your death means our death. Your pain means our pain. We look away, trying to forget our greatest crime. We will continue to party through fire, through floods, through drought, until we are unable to drink. I don't know what to do. Are you lost? I've seen your sweat, melting pieces of ice falling into the abyss, shrinking into nothingness. How you're burning up. This is no longer paradise for me. Far from it. Why now? Why me? I need more time with your network of breathing monuments connected. Your songs never bore, the chirps, the hoots, the peeps, the crickets, and the wind that howls to end the song. There was still more for me to see of you. Massive buildings made from life, seen from space. Now you are pale and losing the glow. I need you. Stay. Don't go. I have only known you sick. Now I say goodbye without a word. I guess I was born too late. I miss you. Earth. An earth unburdened by humanity. After I cried for many hours, I wanted to end it before I could see the end. Then I grew angry. I cannot let this happen. I know what is happening. You know what is happening, even if you deny. We must try. We must change. It must be now, because later is too late. We must change our fate. It is not looming in the horizons. It is not down the stream. We are being drilled into, and soon it will reach our heart. The earth as it is will soon be gone. All the living things I hold dear might perish for all time, never to come back. We have a duty to what is living now, our kingdom. Imagine if all the giraffes were stuffed animals. How would you feel if you were complicit to this madness? I am, and I will no longer accept this future. Humans shall not end with self-made destruction. With our progression, we evolved to do this. We evolved to kill the earth. Fight with me, but not by violence. We will never be heard if that's the case. Get out of your safe space, and I will get out of mine. Young people hear me. Elders hear me. Mothers hear me. Fathers hear me. Our fate is in our hands. The world is in our hands. We can't drop it and let it shatter. This is our greatest challenge, greater than all the ones before this. The destruction won't wait for us to get it together. People can't wait for others to step in. We must fight for change. We must fight now. Can I do one more? Okay, this is called Small Town America. Small Town America, where there are only 3 main roads, weaving around the hills, over the river, and through the trees. Honored with mud season, when dirt can't take a load. A place where the bears still get stung by bees, singing birds abbreviated by the pop, pop, pop of a 22. Going outside with orange as to not be shot like a deer. Car bumpers hanging by duct tape and glue. It is a small town. There ain't anything to fear. Population about 2,000. But in the summer, the lake is crowded. Rich coming from the city with mansions smaller than their gates. Back to the city they go. And the country folk won't work 12-hour shifts, only earning minimum wage. They hardly ever take home a dough. A 20-minute drive just to get groceries, passing by the forested property. A man trying to build on a swampland, dug a ditch to try to drain it, put a sign up because he thought the other man would help him. Partly because he didn't have patience, partly because he didn't mind flagrants. Promise put a sign on the other side of the river. Realists chopped it down and took it away. The banners are gone and the posters are hidden. All the swampland still floods to this day. But they still continue to do his bidding. Back to the same, on the cusp of being dire. Now displacing blame, it's the status quo. People still thinking fame will save them. Thank you.
I know I'm paraphrasing, but Adam said, my words aren't perfect because life isn't perfect. Is that close? That's a wonderful quote. That's really something profound, Adam. Thank you. That's great, huh? All right, Michael and Sarah. These are all seniors, by the way.
All right. Hi, my name is Michael Insrow. I'm a senior at Andover High School. I've been writing poetry since 8th grade. I'd like to thank my 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Nancy Walk. She's not here right now, but thank you so much for helping me get into poetry.
All right.
My first piece is called Lullaby. Sometimes you don't know where you are. You see your shadow and you see your footprints behind you where the sun's to the west, and you ask why. I have been walking. I know that I have been walking. I see my shadow and I see my footprints behind me where the sun's to the west, and I know that I have been walking. I am walking. I am walking, and I'm sick and tired of the pebble in my shoe, but I'm still walking, and the pebble is boring a hole into my soul, and I just keep walking, and you ask why. I just keep walking. There are streetlights and no rabbits about, and I am walking. I keep my head down, even when the trees move, the shadows move, the ground moves. As I am walking, I keep my head down. Thank you. This next piece is called This Isn't Pretty. I've been waiting and fucking waiting for you to get out of my head. This isn't pretty, and it's not a metaphor, and at this point I'm just throwing words down, hoping you'll come out of my goddamn head. I am sick of you, and I want to move on, and I am sick of twitching and writhing and clenching my jaw every time she reminds me of you. I want to move on. From staring at dead roses on my dresser, hoping you'll come back to pluck the spines from my bloody hands because I held on too tight. This isn't poetry, and it isn't pretty, and I'm sick of you, and I'm just throwing words down, hoping you'll come out of my head. This next piece is titled To Be Feared. When I was 6, I would punch and kick and roughhouse with my older brother. I always won. When I was 7, I bit him. When I was 8, I lacerated his cornea by whipping a soft cotton shirt across his face. He says he's scared of me, or at least he was. When I was 10, I told a girl I'd kill her when she made me really, really mad. She told her mom she was scared of me. Then she moved away. One of my cats has always been scared of me. I've done nothing but feed him and move slowly. He was probably abused, so I forgive him. He's still scared of me. I was walking home from CBS after buying raspberry ice cream at 10 p.m. I happened to be walking behind a woman. She gripped her keys and walked faster. I'm a man, and I'm tall. This world isn't too kind to women. I don't blame her. I don't yell anymore. I can't stand to be feared. I wanted to end on a more positive note. So this last piece, this last piece is titled Gunmetal. Now, what time like the present? Hallelujah, I say, and I say it right now. What time like the present? You feel something right now, don't you? What is it? Apathy or sympathy or a drop of psychopathy? Breathe it. Write it down. It will never be the same as it is right now because your taste buds are always dying. Remember that. Leave counting in clocks to the Swiss. Ask, what does mahogany smell like? What do frogs' legs taste like? And how many teeth on a beaver? I want to know, damn it. And why don't you? Always remember to stop and smell the mahogany. No, sir. No, officer. I'm sober. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You too. Anyways, always remember to stop and smell the gunmetal. Thank you.
Awesome. Just awesome. All right, Alex Grimm, 2018 graduate of Andover High School. Scholar. Up here. Let's go.
I was coerced into reading this,
Thank you.
and I'm only reading one. I'm tired. I'm tired. There was a Pats game on today, but I missed it. I was working on a piece of broken furniture, trying to hold it together with clamps so I could glue it whole. I wish there were life clamps. I wish I could choose when or if I needed sleep so it didn't overcome me at awkward hours. I feel like I'm missing a lot lately. My little girl seems so much older now that I miss 10 out of every 14 days with her. A kid who was a resident of my town jumped in front of the 9 o'clock outbound last Tuesday. I don't know who he is or why he did it. I can't decide if I'm the train or the kid. If I'm the train, I doubt I'm outbound to anywhere in particular. I'm just leaving. And if I'm the boy, I'm unsurprised. I'm tired. When I look back on my day, there are whole sections that feel like concussions. I know I was there, I had to be there, but I don't remember them. I called it haze living, and my therapist told me to try medication. He says, it's been a long time. I don't like pills or shots or anything else that might change how I control my body. I'm scared of what that little pill might do to me. I'm scared of not being me. I'm scared of a life clamp that could hold together something I couldn't glue myself, that I'd need something more to fix me, a pill like an extra set of hands. I don't want to be something fixable, but I'm tired, and I'm tired of being tired.
I don't care. I'm taking no for an answer. No no's. No no's. Look at him. How great he was. All right? I got a plaque now. They're going to listen to me. Come on. Alex, great job. Wasn't it? He goes to UMass Amherst. Loved him. He performed here before. Alex, how many years did you perform here? 1 year? 1 year. Great. And now he's back. How's that? These are two that I coerced. All right? Naomi Call and James Call. They can't get out of it. They're coming up. Let's go. All right, let's go. Come on, you have a phone. You did it together. Come on. Come on.
I'm nobody.
Who are you?
Are you nobody too?
And there's a pair of us.
Don't tell. They'll banish us, you know.
How dreary to be somebody.
How public, like a frog.
To tell your name the livelong day.
To the admiring bog.
See, it was worth it, wasn't it? All right. Okay. Let's see. Kate Hernandez. Where's Kate? Come on, Kate. Let's go. Class of 1994. You can't escape me, Kate. Do you have one? You okay? Come on, Kate, let's go. Be brave.
Like Alex, I've been coerced apparently,
Okay.
and I don't have a plaque. I have a badge.
Well, it's okay. It's all right. I got the plaque. It counts.
All right. I was hoping to bring my son with us tonight because he's a freshman in high school this year, but I took him to get his hair cut and now he's mad at me. So
Okay.
it grows. So I was looking through trying to find a poem. So all right. I was trying to find a poem that has to do with high school, given that I graduated from the same high school that you all are currently at and about to graduate from. Then looking back, but I don't know. I feel all the feels lately and all the things, and I really couldn't find anything to put it all together. So I came across this, and I apparently saved it. I once read a pretty story about a girl that wished for an ability that she could forget the people that were hurtful and evil by speaking the words, "This is finished," and her memories erased in a minute. I wish sometime that I too possessed such a powerful tool, if only to give my tear-soaked, mascara-stained pillow a break.
All right. Everybody having a good time? Now we're going to start bringing up some teachers. Leslie Ganley, who teaches English at the high school. She spoke last year, a beautiful poem about the school shooting. It was very well received. But tonight, she's deferring to her husband, Bob. Bob Ganley is going to come up and read a poem for us. Bob, let's go. Thank you, Bob. Speak up loud.
Okay, so this poem is by a friend of ours named Gretchen Grimshaw. And Gretchen is, she's now works in Watertown as, what do I call it, Les? It's like, yeah, she's a minister, basically. She's a minister. So, but what's interesting is she wrote this book of poems called Big Bug Creek. And it was for children about bugs. And each of the poems has interesting information about the bugs, but this particular one I think has an interesting lesson on life, which is why I really like it. So it's called Time May Fly. Precious time in constant flow, with all our hopes and dreams in tow. More in demand than in supply, no more to find or make or buy. No time to stall, no room for woe, each rue can chew a year or so. No point to hoard, no way to save, beyond one's means is in one's grave. For instance, take the Mayfly plan. 5 days, 4 nights, and kick the can. Day 1, newborn. Day 2, new wife. Day 3, round 1 o'clock, midlife. Day 4, gold watch. Day 5, adieu. How swiftly past that lifetime flew. Perspective may prolong the youth, but still we pass as quick as truth. Each finds a blip along the line and not a moment more to shine. So mount your wings without delay, that time may fly, not fade away.
So next year, I'm gonna go after the teachers' husbands too, okay, Leslie? We have in mind that. Two of my best buddies are up next. Bill Hecht and I, worked together many, many years. Bill teaches special needs at the high school, and he has the utmost patience with children that are very, very difficult sometimes. And I admired him. I used to see him go into his little room and have peace as he's trying to teach these kids who really have difficulties. And he never gave up. He always was dignified. And we used to laugh a lot together. So Bill, come up and make me laugh, okay? All right. Bill Hecht, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I'm not entirely sure this will make you laugh. So I've been thinking about this story I want to tell you for 3 years now because I've been trying to write a poem about it, and my muse has been an elusive bitch. I have not been able to nail her down about writing this poem. So I found a poem that really sort of captures the way I feel about this person whose story I want to tell you, but the story is going to be like 3 times longer than the 4-line poem I'm going to read. I want to tell you about my best friend and my best man, DJ Lauer. I met him in 1994, and our friendship was forged in the bonds of serving our country together, flying really big airplanes and doing a lot of cool stuff. And he was just one of these guys, when the instant I laid eyes on him, I said, we're going to be friends. And we did a lot of really cool things together, and he just was one of these people that had a personality that exploded. He would do anything for anybody. He would take time that it took to help friends, to help people who he didn't even know. After he left the service, he became a physical therapist. I remember walking into work once in this building in Texas. He went just to go in to pick up his check. He wasn't even working that day. And all these people were like, he's here, thank God. And I'm like, well, that's DJ. I mean, he helped me move after I got divorced from North Dakota to Massachusetts because he had nothing better to do with his time. And we flew big planes together. We flew ridiculously small airplanes together. We were always tied together by this sense of brotherhood, and I really do consider him my brother. Again, forged in the bonds of service, but also just our mutual love of flying airplanes and just doing goofy things and having fun together. 3 years ago, January 23rd, 2016, 2:30 in the morning, my first grandchild was born. To this date, my first and only grandchild. Morgan, she's 3 years old now, a precocious, really smart young lady who I don't get to see enough of. 19 hours later, 8:30 in the evening, DJ was hit by a drunk driver and he died 3 days later. So this day and this particular time of year has a lot of mixed emotions for me. And I've been really trying to sort of like capture that in a poem because the juxtaposition of Morgan's birthday and DJ dying on the same day is something I know there's something there yet, but I haven't gotten there. But digging around and looking for stuff, I came up with a couple of things. So I want to just read 2 things. One's a quote, and both of these are from Vincent Millay because I think she was wicked smart, and she was also left us too early. And the first one was, she has this quote that said, "Where you used to be, there's a hole in the world where I find myself constantly walking around in the daytime and falling in at night. I miss you like hell." But then this one, everybody's familiar with, but it really sums up my buddy. "My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night. But ah, my foe and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light." I miss you, man.
Great job, Bill. I don't know if you're familiar with the pictures of these planes, these giant Boeing planes that had the radar screen on the top. It looks like a mushroom on top. Those are the planes that Bill flew. So thank you for your service, Bill, and thank you for being a friend and teaching with me all those years. You're great, just a great honor. Great honor. And next, I introduce another great friend. I'm blessed. My friend Vito from Cardiac Rehab, every time I ask him how he is, he says, Harry, I'm truly blessed. Well, you know what? I'm truly blessed. Because I can call these people my friends. All this room is full of friends. And I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Eric Pellerin is a great teacher. He's a great teacher every day. Even on his worst days, he's a great teacher. He loves these students. They're all here tonight. No matter what he does in that classroom, he just is so dedicated. I love working with him. I love the fact he's still my friend and we work together, and that he's done this for me so many years in a row. And I hope he has the grace tonight to do something that I know will be just fantastic. Eric.
Good evening. This is called INFJ. Introverted, intuition, feeling, judgment is the least common Myers-Briggs personality type. Only 1 to 2% of the population sees the world as you do. Of the 7.7 billion people in the world, 77 million think like you. Not so lonely when you look at it that way. Yet they are all introverted, using their intuition to comprehend their feelings and shielding themselves away, reserving judgment in their respective chambers. So rarely do you discover these people who see the world as you see and feel as you feel, love as you love, and be as you be. Is that why you were picked last for kickball? Why you prefer Sammy Hagar to David Lee Roth? Why you skipped Super Bowl 20 to read Northanger Abbey? Why you gloated about it, depending on your audience? Is that why you did not have a steady girlfriend until age 20, and why it only lasted 6 months, and you never liked her in the first place, but she talked you into it and then ended it? And why you did not try again until you were 30? And how you noticed the mood of a room, the girl nursing a vodka and is partial to the reason why the host appears upset, touching her girlfriend on the shoulder. Another makes eye contact with her and nods, and you knew it was her girlfriend even though you never met her, and how this all happened in a moment, and how you feel for all the parties involved, and how you excuse yourself to sit in the bathroom for 15 minutes to recover as if it happened to you. And why people say, I feel that way too, it's not just you, and you know they do not in the same way, and do not bother to argue because you cannot put it into words, how a vacuum sucks air from a room when you choose to speak, and how you never saw it that way for a long time, and how you get exhausted after talking to someone you even like, and how that person wants to see you again, and why you are surprised, making up an excuse to avoid that person even though you liked him, saw him at the gym, left to avoid a conversation, running outside instead of on a treadmill, how you notice the treadmill is metaphorical as you're running. A weak metaphor, so just keep running. And how there was nowhere to run, even at home. Why you notice the vacuum leaves certain patterns on the hallway rug, the mark on the ceiling, that a book was moved on the coffee table, and how you know who did it and what it meant. The way the cherry cabinets change color over time, and thinking of the previous owner and the marvelous craftsmanship, and that he even created wooden hooks to hang Christmas stockings for his 7 children they raised, and how he died in a car accident, and how you still see his family grieving in the rooms of your house today, and the faces of his adult children who could not bring themselves to sign the papers that day. And why your book reviews do not match Spark Notes, and why you never even share your book reviews or much of anything you write or paint or sculpt. And why everyone appears happy while you seem bored, endlessly bored with it all. And how you wish you could be excited, and you wish you could just not think as much as you do and calm down like everyone says, and make your stomach not hurt for everyone. so they won't see the look on your face and ask what's wrong with you. And why you try out recliners at Jordan's Furniture and long to be forgotten in a nursing home. And why the thought of suicide sometimes makes you calm and gets you through a day. And that all the above could be noticed in a moment. And why you took a 3-hour nap after composing this poem. It is why I love the ocean. Mostly in September when it's still warm outside and the water is tolerable. And it is 7 a.m. and I am alone. And why I swim out as far as I can and not looking back to shore. But a voice says, I know what you're doing and you're not going to do it. Don't be so dramatic. So save some energy for later. And I obey, and I tread water. And I turned around and see no one, the last man on earth. But in the distance I see 1%. I see an old man dressed warmly, and his dog, who could be me someday. And I realize that it's time to go home now, to swim back to shore, where an ENTP and an ENFP patiently wait for my return.
Great job, Eric. I know who I'm sitting next to at the nursing home.
Can't have my seat.
One of the things I know that we're running on, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as I have 3 more to go. One of the things that Don did, and it's very unusual in his garage, is that he fostered poetry. And not only was a very big influence on me to pursue it, which I thank him very much. He always encouraged me. Another poet, Frank Farnham, who came here many times, is a great poet. He fostered him. And now some of the younger poets are coming in, and I'm going to bring them in. Now, there's 3 of them. The first one you heard before, his name is Daniel Rice. Daniel.
So last year, I have 3 small poems I'm gonna read. One's about my car crash. I was involved in a car crash on 95 in Hampton. I rolled my car about 9 times. I fell asleep at the wheel. And the other 2 is about the gas crisis, and the other one is about a friend who I just lost. So let's get this started again. I close my eyes and it pops in my head. I wished I was dead. For all I hear is, hold on, we have you. While the white flies afar, I can't think or breathe. I cannot even move my feet. The pain shoots through me while my arm bleeds. I guess you never know when I'm going to leave. Now I just want to sleep. Far as I can see, a dark, dreary night. Now I'm stuck right here in the pain of this night. Oil leaks, gas leaks, police lights, engine lights. I guess it's a surprise that I am even alive. It's about the gas crisis. It was that night, a very scary night. It was that night fear and terror struck. It looked like Armageddon. Some people panicked while others were awestruck. The sound of alarms sounded from near and far. Mayday, mayday was their cry. The sky was lit up with blue and red lights from all those who came. Some came from there and some came from far. Explosions boomed across the quiet sky. People wondering when it would stop. One person showed at a house and told the people to leave for it was not safe. But with that individual, they were. That night, a tragedy struck, for it was that night a very scary night. But in the end, just like the marathon bombing, we are not only Boston strong, but Lawrence strong. And the other one I want to read is the one I just wrote about my friend who had died. He was the head of the detectives. Where is it? Here it is. The policeman stood with and faced his God, which must always come to pass. He hoped his shoes were shining just as brightly as his brass. Step forward now, officer. How shall I deal with you? Have you always turned the other cheek? To my church, have you been true? The policeman squared his shoulders and said, "No, I guess I ain't, because those of us who carry a badge can't always be a saint. I've had to work all Sundays, and at times my talk is rough, and so sometimes I've been violent, because the streets are awfully tough. But I never took a penny that wasn't mine to take, though I worked a lot of overtime when the bills got too steep. And I never passed a cry for help, though at times I shook with fear. And sometimes, God, please forgive me, I wept unmanly tears. I know I don't deserve a place among the people here. They never wanted me around except to claim their fear. If you have a place for me here, Lord, it needn't be so grand. I never expected or too much, but if you don't, I'll understand." There was silence all around the throne where the saints had often trod, as the officer waited quietly for the judgment of his God. "Step forward now, policeman. You have borne your burdens well. Come walk a beat on heaven streets. You have done your time in hell."
It's very hard for me to talk about that night, but that night, the gas crisis, my sister and I were in great danger, and Daniel jumped the roadblock to come and rescue us. And he came into the house, the state police were in the house, because we have disabilities, they came in to carry us out. And Daniel came running in the house, there was no power, we had to leave immediately, they thought the block was gonna blow up. And Daniel came in, took us out, got us to the car, and thank you, Daniel, for doing that. That really saved us that night. Thank you. The next one is Steve Maddie. We call him the Juice Man. The Juice Man. We'll tell you why later. Go ahead.
Okay, get your pillow ready. No, just kidding. The title of this is the Auto Care Way. I'm actually going to start out with a quote. "The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees." Thank you for all you do. The customers appreciate you. It's about the customers and doing it right, even in the dark of night. Always keeping the priorities in check, juggling many balls without a net. The end. Thank you to Don at Auto Care. Great place to go. He was at 46 Winthrop Ave, but he moved right down, 2 doors down. Check us out. Thank you.
Our next speaker, we borrow from Lawrence High. Hope it's all right, Rich. We're gonna borrow her from Lawrence High. Yelissa Nunez, I met her at the garage, and she came in and just lit the place up. She's a dedicated young teacher from Lawrence, teaching in Lawrence. She's smart, and she's dedicated, and I love her work, and I want to bring her up right now. Yelissa Nunez. All right.
Oh, your plaque's right here.
I know, I got a plaque. Be careful now.
Okay.
Be careful.
Hi guys, so my name is Yelissa Nunez. So I teach at Lawrence High School. I teach sophomores. And this poem that I'm going to read you, for me it feels like a letter more than a poem. But I wrote it today with a writing, we did a writer's workshop today, and it was amazing. So this comes from that workshop. Mama, I'm writing to you with this Apple pen. I know you're up there probably shining calderos in heaven, eating good, enjoying the peace. I just wanted to send you some words since you put me on the plane when I was 7 or 8 years old. My life has gotten sadder. I landed in a world full of uncertainty, and now all these people are stuck behind their screens. I don't know how to belong here. Mama, all these years I've been plotting, learning, falling, and hurting, looking forward to the days I see a better tomorrow. A day I don't feel inadequate. A day I learn how to hack the system and reap its benefits. Mama, I wanted to let you know that I haven't made it. I wanted to let you know that I'll never know when or if or how. I wanted to let you know that I won't stop trying.
Just as a wrap up for my end tonight, I think the whole thing is that everybody comes to the party. In our country, everybody's welcome to the party. Everybody, all right? Tonight, in this city, on Common Street in Lawrence, everyone was welcome. Let's have a round of applause for everyone who showed up tonight. And even though I coerced some people to be here tonight, they're going to be grateful for me in the morning, okay? All right. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Knowles. Going to take over? All right. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Kids were great. Teachers were great. Everybody's great. Thank you. Don't forget my plaque, Jim. Maybe I should take it with me. I don't want to trust it with you. I don't think so. All right, thank you.
We'll see how many open mics we can get to. They'll have to be pretty short. I think we had 6 features. Anyway, so first on the open mic, we have a visitor from Brockton. It was Kate DeMarca, who's been teaching down there, who came from Merrimack. And March 21st, there's going to be a World Poetry Day down there with poets reading in 11 languages. Anyway, so Kate DeMarca.
Thanks, Jim. It's really great to be here tonight. And thank you, Karen Klein, for inviting me. And wonderful job, Andover High Poets. I'm so impressed and so inspired. Keep writing. And yes, I teach at Massasoit Community College. Previously, I taught at Northern Essex and Middlesex. And I'd love to invite everybody down to celebrate World Poetry Day with us, March 21st, next week. From 6 to 8 p.m. in the evening, we have 11 poets reading in their native language. So 11 languages, cultures represented, and it's going to be a great time. So free event in Brockton, about an hour and 15 minutes away. So I have 2 poems to share with you tonight. And this is a new one, and so I've never read this one in public before. Let's give it a try. It's a love poem. A litmus test for love, or how do I know that I like you? When the lyrics say love, do you enter my mind? Do I dream about you? Do I want you to hold me? Is the space between us a magnetic field? Do I try to touch you? Do I rest my head on your shoulder? Do I reach for your hand? Do my knees bend toward yours? Do your stories make me want you more? Are you a wonder to me? Are you a song in my sleep? Are you a dream I've had, then hoped for? Are you rain in the night and light in the day? Do I need you? Am I content by your presence? Am I wistful when you leave? Is my soul dancing when you make me laugh? Does your laugh soothe me? Are your words balm? Is our time together never enough? And so this is the other poem. I was born in Lawrence and I grew up in Methuen. And this poem was about my grandmother who lived to be 100 years old. She was from Sicily, and my whole life she lived just around the block on Newberry Street, 53 Newberry Street. And I remember growing up and going to Tripoli's and walking there, and the feast of the Three Saints every year like clockwork. And so this poem is about her. It's about her. I'm dedicating it to her, and it's all about my Nana. So here we go. Olive oil. She lets it flow liberally out of the bottle, and slowly one bubble and then another expands and bursts near the top of the tall gray stove pot on low simmer, where fresh, ripe, crushed tomatoes thicken. Garlic coats the air in her cramped kitchen. She pours salt into her palm before she lets it go, too, into the old pot on the stove. Her English is rough, but her food is heaven. She wears variations of blue. In 1956, a sturdy black trunk was fastened shut with shirts and pants for her 4 small boys, cloth diapers for the baby, table coverings and bedspreads handmade by relatives as parting gifts, all folded and packed with precision and care, not to be opened until the ship docked in New York. Prayers to the saints for a safe passage. Then the journey by car to Lawrence, Massachusetts, where her sister's family all waited for their arrival from Motta Santa Anastasia, Sicily. How did it feel to leave the only life she knew to come here, to this land? Did the prickly pears taste sweeter? The blood-red oranges seem redder? Did La Montagne loom larger as the date of departure crept close? The winter sky sang, "Shuri, Shuri," and the rich soil cried, "Sicilia bella, Sicilia mia." From each misshapen tree branch, the olives watched the family as they drove away from town on roads through rugged hills. The olives watched, and the olives waited. In 8th century BC, the Greeks left their homeland and landed in what is now Sicily, bringing their knowledge of trees, olive trees. Watching fireworks one night, my father fell asleep in an olive tree, and all of Motta looked for him. In the time of Roman rule, olive trees were planted all around the Mediterranean, encircling the sea and reaping liquid gold. Try this, you'll go out of your mind. My Sio Carmen raves about his chicken piccata, luxuriously sautéed. Crumbling stones with only mere memories, echoes of what was whispered in the infrequent wind. I stand next to my grandmother in her crowded kitchen, and I write down everything. For 67 minutes, she washes, peels, cuts, stirs, slices, boils, simmers, and finally tastes. She can't explain her recipes to me, and so I write them down in detailed steps. The English words she needs may as well still be somewhere beyond the sea, but all my life I have known her and she knows me. She knows what she sees and what she is told in her Sicilian native tongue. She turns the stovetop knob to the left and the gas flame disappears. She sings as she always sings, pasta ready.
Next we have Helena Minton.
It's a wonderful turnout tonight. Really, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you can hear. I wanted to make a couple of announcements. On Saturday in North Andover at the First Parish Church at 3 o'clock, there's going to be a reception and then a reading for a book of poems written by, they were poems that were Thomas Mofford's poems. He's no longer living, but his family has put the book together. I don't know if any of you knew, is that name familiar to anyone? Tom Mofford? Is from Andover and maybe North Andover too. His family now, his wife lives in Maine now. But it's called I Am the Poem, and everybody's welcome to come. It's from 3 to 5, and I believe it's downstairs in the community room with him. The other thing is, this is a Lawrence thing. Someone named Dennis Richards, who's from Lawrence, is leading a discussion of a book by a Lawrence poet named Richard Jackson, who was born in Lawrence but now teaches in Tennessee. It's his, I think it's his, because his 10th book of poetry, and it's called Broken Horizons. It's a 6-week course. It's at the Senior Center in North Andover from 1 to 2 on Tuesdays. It's already started, but there's not that many people, and I don't know if anyone's interested. They could see me. I'm going to start next week. I've already missed the first 2, but he was open to having more people. I know most people are working, or maybe they're in school. I don't know. But I just wanted to pass that information on. I'm going to read a poem. I don't know if I might have read another version here, but I remember Rich I think it was in June when you read those 10 things I'd like to say about you, remember that? So it's not in my title anymore, but it really was 10 things I wanted to say about this tree outside my window. So it's to the tree outside my window, and it's also, there's Tree Out My Window, which is a poem by Robert Frost, and Mark Shore wrote a variation of that, but this is a description. 10 years you've stood there, I've looked through you. Which of your branches made me turn my head this morning and delve into your names? Serviceberry, Sarvisberry, Sorbus out of Shakespeare, Saskatoonberry, Juneberry, birds and squirrels as if in hidden pictures, hunting in your skinny branches. Yet you are also shad blow or shad bush for the fish that swim upstream in April. Your oval leaves signal, so the story goes. A preacher in the Blue Ridge can travel thawed dirt roads to speak at country churches. White blossoms torn in a breeze, the ground is soft enough for burial. I must often pass you in the woods where one small tree grows like any other, not exclaimed over like the massive pasture oak or scarlet winterberry. People have sown whole orchards of you, inviting strangers on their land to gather all your fruit. In city parks they plant you, in groves to stroll or hurry past, or fall asleep under with a book. Now as I watch the hummingbird feeder swing in our tiny temporary Eden, I discover already your leaves are yellow, soon to be blazing red against your silvery bark, your steady presence. I have only to look again and you are there or not, never were. Thank you.
And we have Ray Landry.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying that, Karen. I appreciate it. Okay, yeah. All right, just tell me I don't act as old as I am. All right, I'm going to start with 4 very, very short poems by rather well-known poets, and I think the 4 of them together really capture so much about spring. And I know, with the walk from my car to this place and almost sliding on the sidewalk, it's hard to think that spring is only a week away, or a little over a week away. But anyway, here we go. The first one is just 4 lines by Percy Shelley. And spring arose on the garden fair, like the spirit of love felt everywhere. And each flower and herb on earth's dark breast rose from the dreams of its wintry rest. And then the next one, 4-line poem by Emily Dickinson. A light exists in spring, not present on the year at any other period, when March is scarcely here. And then, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, yeah. Two more very short ones like that, then I'm going to read 1 or 2 of my own. This is by Henry Van Dyke. The first day of spring is one thing, and the first spring day is another. The difference between them is sometimes as great as a month. I think that really encapsulates New England. And finally, this one is beautiful. This one makes me swoon. Spring is when you feel like whistling, even with a shoe full of slush. Now, okay, well, thanks for staying on after that to listen to one of my own. This is from my book called Growing into Immaturity, and the subtitle is Vignettes of Useless Wisdom. This is my first of 2 books of poetry. And I don't sell this book. Don't buy it. It's a ripoff. Okay? One time I sold 103 of them, but that's when I was still teaching, and I had a captive audiences. Okay? All right. Anyway, this one is entitled The Impulse. Spring happens, no matter how it touches us. However we feel it, however we image it, whatever way our insides move, whatever our thoughts, whatever our moods, we cannot get away from the life source. It grabs us. Head, heart, and gut intertwine and blend into the oneness of the experience. Comparisons, judgments, and opinions vanish. Distinctions no longer matter. We sigh, throb, breathe, groan in one universal impulse. Spring provides no shield from depression, misfortune, destruction, even death. Injustice and violence do not take spring breaks. Yet grass grows and blossoms sprout. Spring happens and we are touched. Okay. And then finally, oh, by the way, I think you can see by that why, this is a ripoff. I mean, compared to the first 4 that I read, let's face it, okay? In fact, this is why never put out my own poem original until I was 62 years old. Because I was teaching English, I love poetry, I would write something, compare it with something that, some poets that I've taught and been exposed to and so forth, and say, oh my God, this is garbage, okay? But by the time I was 62, I grew up. Now, I'm 19 years older than 62, and I'll leave it up to you to decide whether I've progressed since then. Okay. Finally here, I'd like to just call our attention to the equinox coming, equal amounts of light and darkness coming March 20th some years, March 21st the others. I just want to mention in passing that in Japan, where I lived for 5 years in ancient times, the equinoxes and solstices are all national holidays, and it's incredible. You might have seen those pictures of Japan of people getting pushed into crowded trains. Well, the first time I was there, I arrived in August. School started in September at the international school, and so soon on it was the autumn equinox, and my goodness, I went to pile into the train as usual to get to my destination, to the school, and I mean, I got a seat. The cars are practically empty. It was the equinox holiday, and I had no idea it was happening. I was there for about 3 weeks, and it's really quite incredible how it's celebrated that way. Okay, so here we go, March 20th. Equinox, absolute balance of light and darkness, brightness and shadow perfectly synchronized. Our beings blend with, consist in all shades, include all of life, no images of domination or superiority. Yet the balance does not reflect human history. Cruelty, hunger, wars, suffering, overwhelming gloom engulfs the earth. Still, essence lives in divinity, the source, soft, silent nearness, breathing through, from, around, and in. Timeless, formless, unlimited being, its healing energy penetrating, permeating all. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Thank you. Excuse me.
Next we have Blaine Hebel. He can talk about his a 3-night open house, the second weekend in May, where there'll be 70, 80, 90 people usually.
Usually not that many, but yeah. So I'll say that first. May 9th, 10th, and 11th, I host. It'll be the 8th year celebration of the American voice, and there's poets from all over that read. You get 10 minutes. You have to time your work, because I'll cut you off if you're late, because I usually have between 15 and 20 poets each night. So I have some flyers. You can see me later if you want to participate. So this first poem is a poem that is in my second chapbook, which is the Occupy Poems, about my experience at Occupy Boston. And this is further thoughts on Occupy. So I bought a pair of used Brooks Brothers khakis for $6.99 at Savers. They looked never worn and miraculously hemmed just the right inseam. And I thought that was the poem. But the real poem was why I have to shop there, although I like the idea of using used stuff, sparing Earth's fragile resources. But really, how can the pants cost the $69.95 they're listed at in the catalog when they're just cloth? We can't work within this system because that's what's broken. A new polemic needed, and I'm not afraid of saying, tear it all down. It'll take these ancient thoughts, a pendulum swing of huge proportion, excuse me, a spring of rage, if that's what it comes to. Bloody eyes and hands, do not let this election stand. Visionary thought needs a place to land, a new Joan of Arc to set the world on fire. And yes, it is that religious quest. Change the parameters to based on need, because simply that way it could be done. Occupy just to start, a kernel nurtured through winter's dark music, ready to marshal 99% to savage attack. It requires that intensity to change the world. Prepare now for starting over. Begin locally. Build a tribe of people that you love. Exist without bullet. Sorry, that's what happened, kids. Okay, so the second poem is social media. I'm not a fan of social media. I'm too tactile for that. Would rather have a conversation than a cyber chat. Compressed files depress me, mess me up. I like the smell of vinyl pulled out of the sleeve, the weight of the waiting to be surrounded by the sound. And I also find that reading electronic type doesn't kindle my imagination the way the turn of a page excites my sensation, starts my heart racing. I find most Facebook posts are really boring, just storing information that they can sell. So friend request me all you want. If I don't know you, it's for a reason. I'm not LinkedIn and I don't Skype, but I marvel at the change of seasons. A walk on the beach is always pleasing, extending my reach out to the limits of my imagination. I'm vexed by texting, seems so alien to me. My untrained fingers are just too big for the keys. And I don't care, and I'm not better to find you on Twitter or Foursquare or whatever is the next big trend. I'm already close to my end. I'll be gone before the ocean rise, above my vanity and our pride. And no, I don't care to see your selfies. Hashtag and Instagram pass me by. I take my time watching the sky, the shore, and the tides. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Trapped in Amber. Some people have heard this, but in this is a little so. Last year, on April 4th, over 200 independent movie theaters showed the movie. The movie 1984, and April 4th being the key date because that was in the book when George Winston started his diary. So this is Trapped in Amber. Trapped in amber like Sisyphus rock, feels like 1984. I can't look at the clock as time stands still in nightmare fashion. It's time to take to the streets to unleash our passion. Trump's like bad acid trip. I just want it to end. I keep repeating, it's only a movie, it's only a movie. But it's not. This administration insults all rational thought. Alternative facts are just outright lies. You're a small hand and two long ties. Putin's playing you like Nero's fiddle. A snake oil salesman, you care nothing but middle class struggles, middle class hope. It's just too easy to call you a dope. You're evil incarnate, not my president, but it's still my country, not something to rent. So we the people will survive your administration, and you'll just be a weird footnote in the history of our nation. Thank you.
So there's a lot of Lynn-based activist poetry in his three night open mic too. So anyway, so next we have Robert Pushkar.
Two of my favorite writers are John Updike and Ernest Hemingway. And stylistically, they are dichotomously apart, but I think they still shed light on the human condition. So in this poem, U is John Updike and H is Ernest Hemingway. U and H, partners in words, semanticists, rather U is, H just wrote. U and H was inspiration. He created his own, from hunting and fishing and war, and yes, love. H used grace under pressure to face off life until the exit. Then only 2 shells mattered in that cramped vestibule in Ketchum, Idaho. You noted his passing. Fiction is a dirty business. Art has a shabby side. On September 17th in 1862, at Antietam Creek in Maryland, 26,000 troops, Union and Confederate, met and fought. And at the end of the day, it was the bloodiest single day in American history for casualties. 26,000 were killed or wounded. I visited Antietam a few years ago, and this was my recollection. On visiting Antietam, America's bloodiest day, rains have rinsed away the death,
The ambling creeks still crest in spring. Cornfields give their yellow yield. Sunken road, now bloody lane, you can't explain. Accepted corpses, blue and gray. Dunker Church, quiet on a hill, surveys the placid scene. The silent cannons once ablaze rest and rust from long disuse. In 1919, Ernest Hemingway returned from World War I, a wounded former soldier, after taking 227 pieces of shrapnel in his body. And he lived in Petoskey, Michigan. In fact, that's where he began his first serious writing. Well, he met a woman by the name of Irene Gordon, and they had a fling for about the next 9 months. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to interview Irene Gordon at 104 years old. The poem is called Miss Gordon at 104. Spent a whole summer with him, 1919. He was funny, a good-looking guy. Played tennis. We both won. I was a good player. We went sailing, out to dinner, on long drives on dirt roads up in Michigan. I tell you, we were very naughty together. I had my hair done yesterday. And lastly, I think we've all experienced leaving home and coming back. And that's what inspired this poem. Going home, but which way is home? Traceless paths with nameless faces, desolate roads now unknown, landmarks crumbled long ago. Overgrowth clogs, undergrowth stifles. There's nowhere to lay a dream except in suitcases, peeling with age and careless wear. Strange faces from newness past, cemetery stairs on putty masks, locked in time. Butterflies in plastic cubes, less beautiful, ugly even, because you cannot recognize, they cannot see you as one of them.
All right, so next we have Robert Ward.
I'm going to read two poems to you. Before I do, I just want to thank Ray Landry for bringing me here, or you can blame him for bringing me here. I had the pleasure of teaching with Ray and with my predecessor, Bob Pushkar, for many years, and that's what got me here tonight. I'm going to read two poems. The first one is about an experience. I wrote this poem quite a few years ago, and it was about an experience I had with a neighbor in the apartment building where I actually still live. The poem is called Lying in Bed. She's 90, the woman in 4, the terrorist next door who warbles music hall ditties late at night. No song tonight, though. She's in a fright, summoning her daughter as she stands in our shared back hall, issuing a tremolo call that the daughter in another town can't hear. Other times, late, it's her sister in another state, or Trevor, her husband in another world she seeks. Now she shuffles back home, shuts the door, opens it a crack, then closes it. Open and close, open and close, repeat, repeat. Open, and a shuffle of feet that stops at my door. She knocks, but I lie still, stiff. She begs, will you stop that singing? If I don't breathe, she won't hear me. Shuffle back, open and close. I doze. I start. A knock has split my doze apart with no forewarning shuffle. Trevor, she calls. Trevor, come home, it's 1:30. Some seconds pass in silence. Then, tell Trevor when he's done to come home. I don't know what else to do. Shuffle, Open, close. I don't move, but I breathe, one spurt after another. A tight, alert night watch feeling that should stave off sleep for hours settles in deep. At 2:05, she starts to sing. And this second poem I actually wrote much more recently, but it's about an earlier experience. And just one quick explanation, I'll mention that it's about the one time I met one of my grandfathers, my father's father. My father was estranged from his father, so I never met this grandfather except for this one time. From my seat in the way back, I can't hear my mother's words, but her soft, steady attack drubs my usually self-proclaiming father into silent submissiveness. The one line I catch, "You know you should," finishes him off, and he signals a change in direction. The long, grimy greenhouse beyond a patchy, cluttered lawn makes us pause. My father darts glances from the building to my mother, then stiffens in the back when through the doorway hobbles a bent old man, the grandfather I've never seen in all my 9 years. It seems like forever listening to his crunchy scuff until he has made his way to us. Then Dad's back sags at his father's first words to him in decades. "Junior, you've put on weight." Thank you.
Next we have Mark Porter.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to invite you out to Tuesdays for Poetry. I'm the new host at Stevens Memorial Library in North Andover. Tuesdays for fourth Tuesday every month. So please come out. It's a lot of fun. We've had a good start. I took it over a few months ago from Ken and Nadine Delano. They started that series in North Andover. So please come out. 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. So this poem started with 2 lines and a feeling, overpowering, and it kind of wrote itself from the inside out, and it wrote itself to the beginning and it wrote itself to the end, and the beginning and the end arrived at the same place. And strangely, it became, this wasn't the original idea, but it became kind of a memorial poem. I realized that when it was done. And so it speaks to the veteran, the soldier, the sailor, finally home. May they rest in peace. High tide on the other side of the earth. Neither Achaean, nor Spartan, nor Trojan, nor Hellene. Other climes, other ages are father and mother to me. Neither Agamemnon, nor Odysseus, nor Hector, nor Achilles. Other battles, other voyages did scar and weather this skin. If I am none of these, why do I remain? The soldier never home from the war, the sailor lost on the sea. If I am no man with no ship and no crew, why am I drawn by the tide? Why am I pulled to the deep? Why do I still hear the siren? Why does she sing to me? From where I stand as if lashed to a mast, I hear the same call. I hear her, her song of terror and desire. I hear her singing to me. I can barely stand here. I'm torn apart, torn between what I have and what I want. I tear at my bonds, terrified and yet be still. I hear her singing to me. I hear the singing from every direction on the tide that tears me apart. I hear singing from within and without, the inarticulate song of the heart. With a clap, it's released in a flash transformed, no longer a song, it's now a weapon, like a javelin thrown across the deep, across the ages, coming hard at me. It pierces me so quickly, no time for a smile. Impossible, I hear spoken, my voice from the air. It pierces me so quickly, the speed closes its own tear. I'm left standing, stunned and wondering, what just reached me here? What's new? What can I learn from what pierces me? What can I learn from what cuts me in two? Is there any difference between all of you and me? We've both been struck by the same divine energy. But I had the great good luck to see and to know, to watch myself cut in two, to watch myself healed. To know this is what I asked for, to know this is what I feel. I had the great good luck to hear the call, the cry, to feel the tide beyond the horizon, the high tide from the other side. Stotelos, Stotelos, neither terror nor desire, nor battles nor bonds have their say upon us. In the end, other tides, other powers, stay the heart, stay the flower. Stotelos, Stotelos, I am home from the war. I am home from the sea.
Aye. Oh, next we have Gail Haney.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the high school students for sharing with us your heart and your minds. Great job. Bravo. Also, I want to thank Helena Minton, who has moved, but who is still with us. And so thank you for staying part of our poetic community. I appreciate it. I'm going to read 2 poems for you. One is entitled Distractions. Love those sauteed red peppers, onions, spices knitted together with splashes of wine. Forget the meat. Give me velvety avocados, massaged kale salad with sweet shallots. Turn on color in morning pancakes layered with bananas, scarlet raspberries, blueberries. Physical therapy rejuvenates through struggle, then exhaustion. Recovery through sleep. Give me music, rich organ tones mellowing as they resonate in a skeleton of silken oak. 60s and 70s rock and roll wailing in a vineyard, life springing from brown vines clipped and bound. Lower cholesterol, watch weight, exercise, do your job well, wear the blonde wig. Only taking 11 days off, then returning to work. Colleagues don't know what to say. Keep head up. Pinch cheeks to pink. Hope you're not given more responsibility. Smile. And on a lighter note, I just got back from California, and my husband and I did a tour of national parks. I will tell you that he wanted to go to Death Valley. I did not. Who would want to go to a place that's called Death Valley? I mean, be real. But we went, and I loved it. And this is called Desert Riches. Facing into the wind, 2 silent ravens watching atop a barbed wire fence. Creosote peppered hills blanketed with orange poppies, yellow and lavender wildflowers between them. Power lines stitching potholed roads under unwavering sun. Joshua trees, their trunks dried leaves, as if grass skirts against the wind. Pack rat nest, hardened with cholla thorns, and metal fencing gifted by a raging river. McMurphy's Eden, populated by doves and grackles, foraging among King Alfred daffodils, red geraniums. Hills painted with earth's brush, rusty red, umber, orange, and tan iced with chocolate. Silence, except for tires against another unforgiving highway, heat rippling the view. relic species, rising twisted branches with diminutive green leaves in boulders' shadow. Gorges slashed in mountains' flesh, skin-toned rocks spilling out. Thank you.
And then we have Jessica.
Eric, I really appreciate your poem about INFJ because I am an INFJ.
Oh, wow.
If you guys want to know how to do that, it's the Briggs-Myers personality test. You can Google it, you can take it and find out what you are. Okay, so I have two poems. The first one is from Mark Shore, The World of Consciousness. What actually is the world of consciousness? There, I'd like to say what goes on in my mind, what's going on in it now, what I see, hear. Couldn't we simplify that and say, what am I now seeing? When someone who believes in God looks around and asks, where did everything I see come from? He's not asking for a casual explanation. And the point of his question is that it is the expression of such a request. Thus, he is expressing an attitude towards all explanations. And Mark was my mentor, and he encouraged me to write and say whatever I wanted. He even encouraged me, to not censor what I say. So this one I wrote a long time ago. It's called Moment in Time. Thoughts seem to linger, words start to fade, just as sweetness turns to bitter attitude and darkness turns to day. The sunlight warms my face and I look in the direction where you stand. My thoughts focus on the words that fall from your lips and how it would feel to taste your tender kiss. But I need to awake from this dream because you're not what I need. I enjoy being free knowing that I could be with whoever I want to be. I also know that's not really what I want. I want to explore my emotions. I want to feel the way that I've always dreamt. So I look back in the direction where you stand and you're no longer there. The vision is past. Or maybe I was just dreaming for a moment in time.
We just fit everyone in, so that's it.